I have prepared for you practical tips that would help you to work with the fonts. Let's go! First tip. Don't use more than 2 fonts. You can pick different fonts for headings and base text, but don't go more than that. It's difficult to maintain a visual structure with more than 2 fonts. It often becomes a mess. And you can totally use just one font with different styles in your layouts. Second tip. If you've decided to use 2 fonts, choose those that are distinctly different. Subtle contrast creates dissonance. If the fonts are similar, pick just one of them. Third tip. Use contrast to build a visual hierarchy. To achieve sufficient contrast, use font size and its weight. Try not to use similar weights together. For example, regular and medium weight might look similar to each other, and together they can create an unpleasant feeling. They are not the same, but they are not different. It's like with similar fonts that we discussed in the previous tip. Try to avoid these states. Use either a good contrast or don't use it at all. The next tip we will already discuss when we were speaking about the colors. Make sure the color contrast in the text is sufficient to make it readable. You can check the color contrast on webaim.org. It will tell you if the contrast between the background color and the text color passes the web accessibility guidelines. Next tip. Don't use images instead of text. Of course, in your layouts everything is an image, and it's developers who make it text. But don't make the layouts that would be hard for developers to make it as text in HTML. Sixth tip. Use at least 15 pixels for long text and at least 14 pixels for dense interfaces. Usually it's 16 or 15 pixels. You can use a smaller text for the details, but make sure users easily can read the main text. Next tip. The smaller the text, the bigger line height you should use. In small text, it's difficult to recognize some letters, and if there is no white space around, it's even more difficult. The general rule is to increase the line height to 120–170%. But some fonts have already considered this rule, and they don't have to be adjusted. So again, you should make the decision yourself if the line height is sufficient for good readability. Next tip. Text with long lines are difficult to read. Adjust the width of the text so it's less than 80 characters per line. Next. Align long text by left if it is read from left to right, and by right if it is read from right to left. Don't align long text by center. This way you'll have a better structure and it is also easier to read. And the last tip. Work with the walls of text to make it scannable. Add titles and headings, make paragraphs and lists when needed. Users often scan the page instead of reading it, so make sure it's easy to do so. Hey, this was a video from my free UI design course. Make sure to check the full playlist out and hit the like button and subscribe for more free content about design.